and a good afternoon to everybody. Hopefully, everyone's doing good. 100% apologize for being, 15 minutes late here. Uh, I was working on a project in the shop, which I'll show you guys here in just a minute. Kind of a neat little project. Uh, I've been kind of working on it since last year, but all right, let's see who we got in the house. Our awesome sister, Niecy Blair. Thanks so much for coming in. Good to see you. Rachel, it's good to see you. Thanks so much for coming in. I appreciate it. Carolyn, thank you so much for coming in. It's good to see you. Welcome in. Awesome sister Rockin' Robin, welcome in. So good to see you. Thanks so much for coming. Got a lot to go over tonight. Got some kinfolk mail to show you guys, and wanted to show you a little project I'm working on, and I bought something else. I'm going to be using, and it's another part of our forefathers that helped build their lives here in the mountains that a lot of people don't really know about and don't think about much. Let's see. Welcome in, Jan. So good to see you. Thanks so much. And I will indeed say hello to Alderman Hope. Thank you so much. It's good to see you. Some things, like the shotgun I showed y'all last time, that's how the people in the mountains of Appalachia fed their families. They would go out in the woods and bring meat home. And, and a lot of people don't think about those kind of things. Without that, it was a big part. It played a huge part in the mountains with the people protecting their homes and putting food on the table. Well, there's another one that people never talk about, but had a huge part. Use this to make horseshoes for the horses, and used it to make the tools that it took in everyday life, like forks and spoons and knives, and use these to help make wagon wheels. And I've actually needed one of these for a long time, but I've just used an old vise that I had. But this year, I finally invested in an anvil. These were essential to the everyday life of the mountain people. A lot of people had they had a fire pit, and if they needed to make something, repair something, they had this anvil. Like I said, it made tools, it made the horseshoes, and it was an important part. A lot of people had these on their farms just for because if they needed something, they made it 95% of the time, because they didn't go to town a lot and they didn't have money. So something like that come in handy. And I've used one. This is not the one I made. I have no idea what happened to it. But this is a Viking hairpin, a kilt pin, like the blanket that goes across their shoulders. This is what held it together. And this one was hand forged and then painted gold. And I actually made one identical to this, but I have no idea where it went to. And it also, I restored this little kid's little cap toy. It looks like an old musket. When I got it, it just had a bare piece of wood on the back. But I actually made this little metal end cap for it. Handmade this and forged it with metal. And I handmade that. Like I said, it was just a bare piece of wood, and I wanted to make this, and it fits perfect. So an anvil, it came in handy. Um, that's just another part of the old mountains, and like I said, I'll be using it for other things. The project that I was kind of late getting in here talking with y'all on was this. And I know it just looks like a pile of rusty wheels, but all that'll clean up, and we'll be getting a hold of this with some of that black stove polish. But it's a homemade heater, like a potbelly stove. And I've been working on this. I had a problem trying to figure out the hinges, but I finally got the lower one done. I've worked all day today. Yeah, Clans of Scotland had their own design pen. But it took me months trying to figure out how to make a hinge for the doors because they're shaped like this. And it's kind of hard to, car rim has that little crooked design, and it's hard, nearly impossible to get a hinge for that. So today I got out with some little flat pieces of steel and cut and formed them to fit, welded them to the stove part, welded it to the door. So now the ash catch right there, that's what that is. That's where you clean out the ashes. And the big part up here, that's to put the, let's see. Oh, yeah. I actually I broke a string on that. I need to go get that restrung, get a whole new set of strings for it. But yes, that thing right there is handmade. I don't even know who made it. And whoever created it was learning how to play it because it's got numbers on it. But yeah, a lot of this stuff here on the back of my wall. Oh, no, I can't play it. I can just fiddle with it. I don't know nothing about it. But a lot of this stuff that's back here behind me is a lot of old mountain history. And that's why it's up there. This tool right here, that would have been hand forged on an anvil there. That's why the anvil means so much. And I've wanted one. That one was a 55-pound anvil, and I don't even know how much I paid for it, $65 or something. But I bought that for some parts for that stove that I actually had to make. I still got a long ways. I had to send all the way to Wisconsin. The top of that stove has got to have a big round piece of metal, real thick, that won't bend or bow because of the heat. So I sent to Wisconsin to a shop and had them make me one. It's a 1/4 inch thick, and they cut it out with a machine. And of course that anvil was just a box. It's in there like it's heavy. It's solid, rugged cast iron. But anyway, that piece of metal I had to send off for it, and it's actually coming. So by the time that I get these doors on that heater welded up together, and then that little square stand, I just put the feet on that today. Once I get that top on there welded, I'm going to weld that. I'm going to weld the top part to that bottom part with the legs. I'm going to weld it around the corner of it. And we'll have that as an emergency backup. Like I said, I've got that old cast iron one for Dad's house. In this winter it got very cold. So we're going to have it there. And then I'll have this one for here. If something happens, I'll be able to fire it up. And I'll just keep it in my shop for now. And if I need it during the wintertime, easy. Just go bring it in the house, run the pipe out the window, done. So we'll have that. And all right, let's get into the kinfolk mail here. This one's actually from my grandmother. It was a Christmas card, and it says "Treetops glisten" on it, and then inside it says "Dreaming of a white Christmas and a peaceful New Year." And that's signed by my grandparents. This one was a lady that I work with, and she got a set of little miniature goats, and she made this up, and it says "Merry Christmas from Holly and Willow," and that's her little goats. And for the ones that I didn't get to send one of these to, welcome in, Tammy. Thanks so much for coming. Appreciate it. This is the Christmas card that we had made that has my daughter at the old 1800s cabin and an old rocking chair, and then there she's out in the pine thicket behind the house. And then here we are at our local park right there under the what's that called? That plant that you kiss under, whatever it is, mistletoe. So, wanted to show y'all that. And wanted to ask, Miss Nisi, did I send you one of those cards? Let me know in the comments here if I did. And if I did not, if you'll email me your address, I've still got one. I'll send it to you. I thought that I did, but I don't know if I did or not. And this is our last one. We actually got this in the mail yesterday. This is from our awesome brother Cody from Cody Imaginary Appalachia. He sent this to the P.O. box, and it's a New Year's card. Let's see, cover that up. That's his phone number, but it says, "Wishing you a year unlike any other, full of dreams, journeys, and wonderful moments, just waiting to be discovered. God bless you all in this new year. Your brother in Christ, Cody Imaginary Appalachia." Yeah. So we appreciate him for sending that. It's so kind of him. Really appreciate it. And so now we got an address for him. So I'll be sending that back. And this card, Miss Nisi, it'll be for you, and I will get that in the mail. I have a few of them left, actually. So the ones that send in stories or whatever, I tried to send them. And if I didn't, like I said, you let me know and I'll send it. But I really appreciate you guys for submitting the stories. She actually sent another one in. Appreciate that. And I'll be reading it. I don't know if I'm going to read it to you guys here or if we're going to make a video out of it. So, which I'm actually working on a video that her father shared with her right now. I wrapped up the audio editing yesterday, and tomorrow I will be getting the photographs in there, and then Saturday we'll be getting it wrapped up to upload for y'all to see Saturday at 3 o'clock. So we'll have that going. Let me get me off of this screen, and we'll read our story. This one's not an Appalachian story, but it's a neat one. It's in our book, the Phantom Phenomena book that we've been reading some of the stories out of. And this one's called A Cave in the Mountains. Humans have long since battled the call of the unknown. Peering deep into a dark cave, instinct and curiosity edges forward, daring us to explore despite what or who might lurk in those shadows. The location is the hills of Mexico just before sunset. The atmosphere is an unfathomable darkness, unbearably hot. And so it goes. I was around 10 years old when I first encountered this cave. I am the youngest of three to Mexican American parents. In my childhood, I traveled to Mexico at least twice a year. During my childhood and adolescence, the village or town, whatever you'd like to call it, had a maximum of 300 residents. Everyone knew everyone. You get it. As a child, going from the downtown of a major Texas city to the lawless deserts of Mexico was liberating in a way. I could do whatever I wanted at any time with little apparent consequence. I discovered a lot about myself and learned to respect life and nature while hunting and working in the hills of Mexico. Let's see. We'll catch up on the videos. Had a lot going on with my health. A recent surgery around Thanksgiving. Well, we are hoping that you're doing good, Miss Robin. Appreciate you coming in here. And we'll be throwing a prayer up for you before we get off of our live stream. I promise you. Thank you so much for coming in here. A popular pastime for the kinfolks of the town was to hike up the mountain just outside of town. It took all day to reach the top, but when you did, you can enjoy the view of the entire town and the valley while the sun was setting. It was a truly enjoyable experience. While atop the mountain one evening, my close friend from the village who accompanied me daily during my visit revealed the existence of a massive cave on the other side of the mountain. Welcome in, Face Day. So good to see you. Appreciate you coming in. Good to see you. I've never been on this side of the mountain. There's a cave back there, I asked. It felt odd to me, despite how many times I took a trek to the top of the mountain, that no one had mentioned this cave. Let's go, he said, not waiting for me to respond. He got up from the giant boulder we were sitting on and started up the peak of the mountain. I followed right behind him. He had gotten me into some trouble before, but I had never really gotten hurt because of him. So I thought, why not? There are no trails or markers on the mountain. It took some searching, but eventually we did find the cave. It was indeed a giant hole carved into the mountain, going down as far as I could see. The setting sun didn't light up more than a few yards into the tunnel before fading into pure darkness. We stood at the edge, peering down into the depths of the cave. Almost instantly, my eyes and nose started to feel like I had stuck my face into hot coals. The smell of ammonia from the bats that lived there in the cave blindsided me. Meanwhile, my bud was having a good laugh at the expense of my tear ducts and nose hairs. We stared down into the giant hole for a good minute, looking around at all the bats clinging to the various rock formations. I pointed at some beams of wood, or maybe they were long tree trunks that were placed across the cave at varying depths. What are those for? I asked. Farmers hired people to climb down there and bag the bat poop to use as fertilizer. They were making a lot of money. Want some? He asked. I declined, not wanting to go into the cave at all. But as I expected, my friend had already begun to descend. He made his way down to the first section that I had subsequently flat ground to stand on without the aid of the wooden beams. He yelled at me to follow him, and I don't quite remember how, but he convinced me to climb down into that cave. Since the beams were placed by and intended for adults, there were considerable distance between them. My smaller frame slipped through without issue. We both stood on the small section of level ground, trying not to breathe as the smell was burning our lungs. Come on, he said, and continued to the next beam underneath us. I'm not going down there, man, I said back to him, my shaky voice bouncing off the surrounding walls. He did not stop. Although he heard me and possibly assumed I would follow him closely, he continued until the darkness engulfed him. I could hear him whistle at me from a unique position inside the cave, but eventually I couldn't hear him at all. Welcome in, Jackie. It's good to see you. Thanks so much for coming in. I had either stopped whistling entirely, or he went so deep into the cave that I could not hear him anymore. He had mentioned that once it got to a certain depth, the floor evened out and you could easily walk deeper into that cave. Bats started to fly out in swarms. I knew they wouldn't purposefully hurt me, but they were very loud and distracting. It was a struggle to remain in place as a tide of bats brushed by me. Once most of them passed, I could hear for sure. I could for I could for sure be heard if I yelled into the cave. I called to my friend, "Hey man, let's go before it gets too dark." I stood there waiting for a reply, but he never called back to me. I looked around debating whether I should stay put or climb out, waiting for him outside the cave. Tucked into the spaces between the rocks and the walls of the cave, I noticed a few empty rice bags. I assumed they were used for carrying the bat poop. I noticed what looked like cloth snagged on the edges of the rocks on the walls lower in the cave. Shoes were left on the small ledges that naturally occurred on the cave. Well, that's odd, I thought, thinking some folks find it easier to climb down while barefoot. I heard huffing coming from beneath me. It was the unmistakable sound of my friend's heavily panicked breathing. I tried my hardest to see down into that darkness, but it was no use. My friend would frequently play tricks on me, so I hesitated to believe that he was actually in some kind of trouble. The sounds of panic were getting closer though, and the distress in his breath became apparent. When he came into view, he had a look that I intentionally misunderstood as anger, as if he were unhappy that I didn't follow him. However, he climbed higher up the wood beams toward me. The dwindling sun illuminated the look of fear on his face. He didn't stop to let me up first. He passed by me in a hurry and was out of the cave before I even made a move. I looked down more into the darkness beneath me and saw nothing and heard nothing. I focused on balancing as I navigated through the beams until I made it out of the cave. Once I was out, I looked around for my friend so we could leave, but I didn't see him anywhere near the mouth of the cave. I yelled for him, getting ready to accept that he probably left me behind and was halfway down the mountain. I called him one more time and scanned around for him until I found him at the tree line, sitting next to a big rock. Hey man, let's go before it gets dark, I said as I walked toward him. I was so relieved I wouldn't have to find my way down the mountain on my own in the dark. He just sat there looking bewildered. I was trying to figure out what he was thinking or why he was behaving so weirdly. He started breathing heavier and heavier with each breath, and anger began to settle into his face. I backed away, knowing what he could do in rage. He was a good guy who wouldn't hurt me or anyone that wasn't truly asking for it. But while in a blinding rage, he had once knocked his brother, who just happened to be in the line of fire, unconscious. I wasn't in the mood to be getting floored. He rose from the ground and made his way toward the cave while picking up a big rock. He ended up smashing his thumb, fueling his anger further. With the rock in his arm, he walked to the opening, lifted it up, and then sent it crashing down into the dark hole. The rock broke through some of the wooden beams on the way down and caused an enormous roar of echoes that filled the surrounding air. When the intense roar of echoes started to subside, my friend looked as if he was getting nervous. He gave me a look and nodded toward the trees, telling me it's time to go. Whenever we hiked up the mountain, we could run down at full speed, jumping over one boulder to another. It's our tradition. The mountain's steep face was covered in decades of dirt and dead leaves, cushioning our landing. Dangerous, yes, but most of the activities we filled our days with were dangerous. We were just kids with only our imagination to entertain us. When we started jumping and hopping down the mountain, my friend was covering way more ground than I was. I tried my best to keep up, but he left me behind, seemingly without even trying. He would stop now and then to let me catch up, though. He made it back to town in about 45 minutes. We sat in my family's living room for a while, which was no more than an open air concrete corridor with a roof made from bamboo and clay shingles. He held his hand and showed me his thumb. It was disgusting purple and swollen. I need to drain the blood, he said, as he blankly stared at his hand. I found a sewing needle, held it over a candle for a few seconds, and slowly pierced the skin of his thumb with the needle. I could see it hurt him quite a bit, but he was really quiet for that. Maybe it was that we turned into teenagers soon after, but every year I visited after that, he was never the guy I knew as a kid. In 2020, during the summer, I received the news that my good friend was discovered in his room at his house. I have no doubt that he had enemies in town and in the surrounding villages who might have had something to do with his death. However, his wife said she was sure that he did it himself. He was there with me when I went on my first hunt, when I harvested my first beehive, when I unknowingly stole a herd of cattle from a drug lord in our region, when we got lost in the desert and jumped into a well just to drink water, when my aunt unloaded her rifle on us when she thought we were trespassers, and we were chased by a herd of bulls that got away from a rancher. I often wonder what happened in that cave that really changed him. I really regret not being there with him that day. Wow. Let's see. That makes you wonder, just what did he see in that cave that changed him? Did it have something to do with his death so many years later? There's a lot of questions that we'll never know the answer to. What a story. And I know those old bat caves can be home to anything. Anything. And some of the monsters that roam around the world, there's so many people that claim that they're just fake. But when you experience one for yourself, it's truly life-changing. I can't say that I've ever seen a Bigfoot creature, but I don't dismiss people that have, because there's certainly so many things that's been seen over the years that's hard to disprove. So, really enjoyed that story. I've got another one marked for next time that is called A Cryptid near Mount Adams. Never heard of it. It's in Old Maids Canyon in Oregon. We will have to see what that one's about. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Really neat stuff. I really enjoy getting to read the stories from these books, and I really enjoy when you guys submit stories. The one Saturday you guys are going to really enjoy. And the one from last Saturday I really enjoyed because there was a story that I had never heard before. We've all heard of Old Green Eyes. It's a creature that wasn't seen until after the Battle of Chickamauga was over. But then at the same time, there was another creature that was seen that was called the Watcher in Blue. And many people say that Old Green Eyes is seen wandering in the field trying to scare people and feed off of their energy. But on nights when there is a blue fog that is seen in the area, he doesn't appear. He stays back in the deepest depths of that forest. So if you haven't watched it, last Saturday's video was called The Watcher in Blue. Go watch it and learn who he was or what he was and what's his purpose there. So you don't want to miss that story. It was a really good one. I want to say a special thank you to the 68 to 70 people who always watch our videos. No matter what, we've got 2,000 subscribers, but there's always at least around between 68 and 80 views on our videos because we have that many dedicated people. And I really want to say a special thank you to them for watching the video and liking it, sharing it, watching the videos all the way through really helps the channel. It lets YouTube know that you guys are interested in what we're doing, Really, really, really enjoy the videos. I enjoy getting to do the research, some of the stories, some of the things that you guys send. I enjoy getting to read that. So I've learned many things about Appalachian history and folklore and mysteries through the work that we've done here on the channel. I mean, that knowledge is what keeps me going. And I know there's so many people that get lost in numbers. You know, you got 2,000 subscribers, but only 68 people watch. You know, that kind of stuff can really discourage you. But to me, I just keep going. Those numbers don't really mean anything to me. I just appreciate you guys watching, and I really enjoy what I learn. You know, when we're doing research on a story, or like I said, the stories people submit, there's so many things that you can learn about lost places, forgotten people, uh, lost to time cemeteries and homes. And um, just watching TV the other day, we learned an hour away there's a hospital known as the Huntsville Hospital. It was built on top of a cemetery that was founded in 1858. It's rumored that there's still bodies that were left in that cemetery when the hospital was built. So it's things like that that interest me. People drive past that place, they go in that place every single day and never know that right under their feet could have been an old cemetery. So it really interests me. You know, you can drive these back roads and see nothing, but right there in that field of nothingness could have been a place where a battle took place, or you know, so many different things could have taken place here or any of these places, and people don't know anything about it. So I appreciate you guys coming out and bearing with me through my boring videos. We appreciate the ones that come in and participate. Really good to see everybody that comes in here, and it's a good place where you can have good, clean fun, good, clean videos, fellowship, not have to worry about anybody being judgmental or using filthy language. Just we're family. And I appreciate each of you guys. We thank y'all so much for sharing this out and sending your stories and sending us comments and helping us grow. Thank y'all just ever so much. And thank you guys for the mail. You know, that makes the little P.O. box worth it. And which we actually have to go pay that again. That's due like the 16th. I have to pay for another 6 months. But appreciate y'all. And I guess until next time, we're going to leave y'all. But coming Saturday, we got an awesome submitted story that we're going to be covering. And next Monday, we'll see what kind of live we get into. So, not Monday, Thursday. Next Thursday, we'll see y'all for a live stream. We'll see y'all later. Thank y'all for coming. We appreciate y'all.